Just not together. The experience of videoconferencing for people with aphasia during the COVID-19 pandemic. This work was a collaboration between King's College London and City, University of London. We frequently use gesture, subtle cues in body language, or interact with our environments to communicate. These strategies of total communication greatly benefit those who struggle with language, as they add an additional means to communication. One such population are people who experience the language impairment aphasia, which affects 1/3 of stroke survivors. People with aphasia might have difficulties listening, reading, speaking, or writing, or any combination of these. Aphasia, however, does not affect intellect. Against this context, the COVID-19 pandemic means that videoconferencing is now a norm for communicating. Although videoconference has allowed us to keep in touch during the pandemic, the SIGCHI literature reports many communication hindrances, for example, challenges with latency, lack of eye contact, or background noise. Against these contexts, we understand that videoconferencing may be challenging for those who use total communication. We therefore aim to understand the experience of communication via videoconferencing for people with aphasia. Our aspiration is to inform the design of more accessible videoconferencing platforms. We conducted a 3-part study with a specialist aphasia charity called Discover, based in the southeast of the UK. Discover moved their communication support sessions online for the pandemic. They chose Zoom as the best platform for them after some experimentation. We aim to understand the members with aphasia's experience of videoconferencing. We did this through naturalistic observations of online sessions, interviews with staff at the charity, and interviews with charity members with aphasia. Observations and interviews were thematically coded in NVivo and exported to Miro for further analysis, as shown in the paper. Now I will provide an overview of the key results from the observations and provide some video examples. Similar to real-life communication, a common strategy for supporting communication was props. Objects in one's environment or bits of paper with writing. These were used to support one's own speech, the speech of others, and also in response to questions. Using the props to support others was exclusively used by the charity staff, with 171 recorded instances. Here is a video example of a charity member staff in the top right reinforcing the speech of a member with aphasia in the top left. She does this by providing an additional modality, i.e. writing, to support others in the comprehension and to give a common anchor point for the conversation.
70s.
In the 70s?
Yeah.
Okay, so very much your sort of childhood. So in the 1970s, the electric trains began more.
A highly novel behaviour, and one which emerged only when the charity moved online, was bespoke, custom-made props to respond to questions and generally communicate. These were handmade, sometimes by the charity and sent in the mail to the members with aphasia, and also by the members themselves. These were used in lieu of Zoom's reactions, and particularly supported those with limited speech. The following video example shows a discussion around these, with members and charity staff waving them to the camera.
I'm not sure if you take your yeses and your nos when you go out. Does anybody take them?
No.
I'm too busy dreaming about mine to take them.
Now, turning to gestures. Gestures too were common. As with the props, these were often held up to camera, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. For example, sometimes out of frame. This video shows a member with aphasia with limited speech responding successfully via gesture to a charity staff member to confirm a response. He also uses some additional sound effects.
And he wanted to do it as a career. Did he go to another country?
We uncovered many challenges that videoconferencing introduces to total communication. We provide some examples of some common issues here, but a more detailed account is given in the paper. As mentioned earlier, the framing of props and gesture were of challenge. In a shared environment, one can see someone's whole body, so this is often successful. However, on video conference, one must constantly monitor the camera to properly frame the prop, so this doesn't always work. For example, This video shows a member with aphasia in the bottom left showing a bespoke prop as an answer to a question. However, it's out of frame.
With you guys to see
Same here.
now that you've noticed them. Yeah, same with you, Krista.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Latency and audio processing, which are known challenges with video conference, introduced additional communication challenges for the members with aphasia. In this video, we see a member with aphasia, second from top, quickly answering Indiana, but their voice is completely cut off by another member due to the audio processing and latency.
That's Harrison Ford. He's a famous actor. What films was he famous for? Do you know?
I'm sorry, I haven't the faintest idea.
Jones.
Indiana Jones.
We now contextualize some of this data from both sets of interviews. We focus initially on the challenges of video conferencing as perceived by the charity staff and members with aphasia, and then the benefits. Many felt that this drop in communication bandwidth enforced structure into the sessions. One charity staff member noted, "In person, you feel much more able to adapt and change and do something different, whereas if you're on Zoom, you're like, right, we're talking about the sport and that's all I've got here today, my brain can't think of anything else." This introduced ambiguity and a loss of communication. For example, one staff member said, "I think I probably know this because I'm a speech and language therapist, but recognizing when somebody has something to say in a conversation and moves forward, and responding to their body actions, implying that this doesn't really work on video conferencing." These more formalized sessions, and the fact that when you speak to one person, you speak to everyone on video conference, made socializing a challenge. As a volunteer at the charity noted, you're just not together, sharing food, even just a coffee break, is quite an important social phenomenon, and I guess I've learned more about these individuals in the coffee breaks than in the formal parts of the sessions. In general, personal and informal communication is challenging on video conference. One benefit of video conferencing was being in one's own home and presenting and communicating through one's own environment. For example, one charity member noted how this empowered the members with aphasia, saying, "I'm not the person with aphasia, I'm actually the person with a garden that looks like this and the kitchen that looks like this." This also afforded personal prop grabbing, which also allowed members with aphasia to exhibit achievements, for example medals or certificates, or show surprising things about themselves. Members with aphasia and charity staff also noticed that they use video conference as a means to self-monitor. Having a video feed of one's own self promoted a degree of self-reflection and feedback on communication strategies. As one staff member notes, "You're much more aware of yourself on Zoom because of course you're looking at yourself, so if I'm writing keywords or doing a gesture, yeah, I would be super aware of that." To summarize, some notable behaviors, which are elaborated on more in the paper, were the exaggerated use of props and gesture for communication. For instance, the creation of bespoke props, almost performative tools to make up for the lack of real-time feedback, and the subtle body language that we lose on video conference. These introduce further challenges such as framing. The known challenges of video conferencing also impacted users with aphasia disproportionately. Latency made conversation more stilted, and speech processing, which is perhaps not attuned to diverse speech patterns, were likely contributing factors. In future, we aim to explore how we might embody more diverse styles of communication within video conference technologies. Finally, we'd like to thank Discover and their members for making this research possible.